If you want to get appointments so you have a chance of winning a client, you get on the phone as much as possible.
Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to handle cold calling rejection. So
Yeah.
Tom, when you're making loads of cold calls and you're just getting told to fuck off, no, not interested, how do you kind of handle that, and what do you do personally to kind of
Okay.
get over that hurdle?
Well, first of all, those listening to this, like, what makes me qualified to even talk about cold calling? And that is the fact that I reckon I've made over, I don't know, I did cold calling for a long, long time in a previous job. When I was like 19 to 24, I was just cold calling all the time for an insurance company. And it was cold data. So I've had every type of rejection going. I've been called some ridiculous names. I've been abused on the phone. Like, I've had the whole thing. So I'm very, very experienced when it comes to cold calling. I think I've probably made well over 10,000, maybe 15,000 cold calls. I really don't know. I've lost count. So the answer is, when it comes to cold calling, the only way you ever improve on cold calling is by doing more and more of cold calling. There's no such thing as a bad cold call, really. There's a cold call which isn't effective, but you should always learn. It should, every cold call you make, even if it's like horrendous and they've hung up on you within 30 seconds, you should always learn from that and be like, wow, okay, that's part of my conditioning for sure. So much of it is about being conditioned and being numb and desensitized to cold calling. If everyone, Harry, had said like, oh, you need to try cold calling, it's so much fun, and everyone your entire life has said how fun cold calling is, you'd get on and do cold calls with a massive smile on your face and you wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah,
To get Because
yeah,
everyone's talked about how fucking grueling cold calling is, and how it's so difficult and everyone's so rude to you, and just like I've said. But actually, some of the best moments of my business career was when I was cold calling. I had so much fun doing it, and not just that, it's majorly effective to get results.
yeah.
If you want to win a client and get, not just win a client, if you want to get appointments so you have a chance of winning a client, you get on the phone, and you get on the phone as much as possible.
Yep, mate, couldn't agree more. I think what people need to realize is anything that's difficult is going to be worth doing. And it is difficult, especially when you're first starting out. Getting on a cold call and speaking to an absolute stranger, I know how difficult it is because I found it super difficult. But what I kept reminding myself was I'm actually glad that it's so difficult. I'm glad it's so painful to get told no, because then you're in an uncomfortable position that has the potential reward. Like, for example, emails, they're so easy to send, and how good are emails at outreach and booking meetings? That it's shit. So it completely, there's a massive correlation between difficulty and how rewarding something is. So it's just,
And
you just have to get over it, and the only way you get over it is by just doing more.
yeah, you've got to do as many as you can, and don't feel like it's failure. And there is a knack to cold calling. There are some things you should be saying, and within the first 30 seconds of a cold call, that is make or break. That's like, if you get over 30 seconds, then you're warming the client up, or the potential client up. That those first 30 seconds is the first impression, and they are instantly wondering, what do you want? What do you want from me? And there's something we talk about. And actually, if you are anxious about cold calling, it's on my Instagram. Go and check it out. But we've talked a lot about the FTR, which is throwing in a fake time restraint. Okay, so and it really helps ease your anxiety when you're cold calling. It massively does. So a fake time restraint is saying to the person you're talking to that you're only going to take up a certain amount of their time. So you ring them and you're like, hey, Harry, this is Tom. Look, I know you're busy. I'm busy too. I'm only going to take up 40 seconds of your time. Now, you can say something like 40 seconds, or even be funny about it and say something like, I'm only going to take up 53 seconds of your time. Something that might even make them laugh. You never know. But what happens is, what's very clever with throwing in an FTR, fake time restraint, is you've immediately told them, I'm not going to take up 20 minutes of your time. That's the first thing they're thinking of is, fuck, this is going to be forever. How am I going to get this guy off the phone? You saying that you're only going to be 40 seconds, they'll give you it. Because they want to know, because they know that, okay, he said 40 seconds. Now, the beauty about this is, if you are adding value and you're interesting enough for them and you've got their attention, they are very willing to throw that 40 seconds out the window and continue listening to you. And here's a thought, they might even ask you questions about your service. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's called a buying signal. But if you throw in an FTR at the very beginning, it eases the client and therefore it eases you. And you feel way more relaxed that you've kind of got there a bit more of their undivided attention. People get anxious when you think, oh shit, I've got to say everything I possibly can. I've got to tell them who I am, my agency. I can run Facebook ads. I can do Snapchat ads. I can do TikTok ads. You know, what do you do? And I can get you leads. I can get you leads. I can get you e-com leads, sales, blah, blah, blah. They throw as much information in that first 30 seconds where people are like, whoa, I can't listen to this all day. Down it goes.
Yeah.
Throw in an
But
FTR, relax, they relax.
so what would you say to someone that's after you get over that hump? Say there's someone who's done 100 cold calls, so they've got over that initial fear of, you know, actually picking up the phone and pressing ring.
Yeah.
If they've rang 100, 150 people, but they're still getting firm, no, I'm not interested, what would your advice be? Like, how would you get around that? Because 150 calls, especially 150 answered calls, is a lot of no's without getting anything positive.
Yeah. See, that wouldn't happen to that doesn't happen if you're delivering the cold call in the right way.
Yeah.
So there's two things to that. Are you qualifying the customer enough? It could be that actually the niche you're going after is just dog shit and they're just not responding to cold calls because they're too busy. It could be a niche that you're working with which don't need new business and don't need any marketing at all. So you can cold call that all day long. You're not going to get the results. However, if it's a suitable niche where they will need marketing to a degree, social media marketing, if you've made 150 calls and you're still not getting a single appointment, then it comes down to what you're saying on the call and how you're saying it. So you're probably doing some fundamentals incorrectly. Doesn't mean it's a big mistake. There'll be just small things you should change. Even taking my advice and throwing in an FTR, that will game change some people listening to this. That's a fucking game changer bit of advice.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Because if you implement that properly, and I can run it through now, I'm just saying like, hi, Harry, look, my name's Tom. I know you are busy. I am busy too. I'm only going to take up 40 seconds. Some people have said, and I've heard this actually used, and I have used this personally, where I've called someone and gone, hi, Harry, look, I'm Tom. I'm busy. You're busy. I run a marketing agency. I'm only going to take up 40 seconds of your time. So you can either stay with me now or I'll let you go. And the amount of people who go, yeah, go on. What do you need? Got you. That's fine.
I think that's the biggest mistake. I think it's when people ring someone and they immediately demand their time in a negative way. There's demanding it in a kind of authoritative way, but there's demanding it in a selfish kind of entitled way. And they're the calls I absolutely hate. When I get cold called from like insurance companies or whatever, and they ring me and they're like, Harry, I want to talk to you over the next 30 minutes over a survey that I need you to do, and this, and this. So I just put the phone down immediately. Yeah. If they value my time and show immediate consideration for my time, I'm way more understanding, like immediately. And I think that's where most people go wrong. And that's not actually just for cold calling. I think people are so entitled when they do any type of outreach. They feel entitled for a meeting. They feel entitled that people should care what they offer. Fun fact, no business owner gives a shit that you sell Facebook ads. They've heard it millions of times before. So unless you come up with something new and in a new way to showcase that or get them in a position to showcase that to them, they're just not going to care. And that's the same with Facebook. That's the same. And because you're on the phone with them, it just stands out more with cold calling. I think that you just get on there, act entitled, and they just don't have the time of day for it.
No, they don't. I think there's definitely an element of practicing, and it's not just practicing cold calling; it's practicing social skills and social cues. I think a lot of people ring up someone and they throw a lot of information to them without even letting the client say anything. You know, they may not even say, "Hey, how are you today?" You know,
that's a huge one, mate. Absolutely huge. When they pick up the phone and talk for 30 seconds without them saying anything.
Yeah, honestly. And here's another bit of advice: if you are cold calling, don't bother saying what your marketing business is called.
Yeah,
because they don't give a fuck. What you need to say is, "Hi, look, my name's Tom. I run a very successful marketing agency, and we specialize in this and this. I would really love to talk to you. It's important for me that I get a chance to talk to you about what we do because I really think I can add value." Now that is different. Like what I'm doing there in this cold calling, and this wasn't a video to train people, but actually it's fucking useful, so I might as well talk about it now. What I'm trying to do there is make myself seem like a really normal guy who is actually very excited about working with you. You're not a number to me. You're not. I've been waiting 5 years for this moment to call you. I'm
Yeah.
fucking desperate to speak to you.
And I think
They
dropping,
feel it, Harry. They feel that in their heart.
they do,
That's
especially
the
if you
plot.
drop things in that make them feel that then like you said, not a number. Like saying, I saw we did a video on the laziest outreach methods. If you watch that video and then rang those businesses, and if you've not watched it, it's through like a local magazine and there's a DM
That's a
strategy
good
behind
video.
it. Very good
That was
video. Watch it if you've not watched it. But if you use something like that and said, hi Tim, just seen your ad in the local newspaper. I own a successful social media marketing agency. I'd love to talk to you about something.
yeah.
They immediately know that what you want them to do on a cold call is make it seem like you found their business out of the blue and you're then giving them a call. You don't want them to think, right, he's got a spreadsheet in front of him. He's just ringing them, changing the name at the beginning and saying the same shit. That's what you don't want, but that's what most people do.
Yeah. Now, in the Wolf of Wall Street, the movie, right now, that's all about mis-selling, right, and completely misguiding the individual. However, there are some key selling things in there which I use to this day, which is like Jordan Belfort in that says, "Oh, I've just had something come across my desk, and couldn't wait to share it with you." Right? You know when he's trying to sell the shitty stocks,
Yeah,
he uses that line a lot, where he's like, "I've just had something like put onto my desk, and I had to ring you about it." Now, that what he's doing there, and that's a really common sales trick, is you are making the client feel very special and that you are actually really excited to fucking talk to them.
yeah,
Totally different mindset. It's a different approach, and 99% of people don't do that. So if you can get that part right on your cold calling, guys, where you are ringing people, throw in an FTR so they don't think they're stuck with you for 5 minutes when they're busy, okay? And say to them, look, I saw your business. I've been on your website. I'm actually really excited to ring you. I would love to talk to you about my marketing agency and how we actually add value to people like you.
yeah,
When can I get you on a call? Like, I really would love to get you on a call. I'm pumped.
yeah. I love it.
If I say that to people, that's why every 10 cold calls I get like 2 or 3 appointments, or did. We don't do our own cold calling now because we've got a team who do it. But we had to get to where we were, and that's the type of shit that I would do. And when I made 15,000 cold calls, you do understand what people respond to the best.
Yeah,
I really do. I remember using that technique when I was selling car insurance. I used to be like, look, because I used to get, I can't remember how we got their information so long ago, but I used to say things like, I'm here to calling you up. I'm really excited to give you an insurance quote on your car because I know it's up for renewal.
yeah,
And he's
yeah.
like, right, fine, you're excited. I'm excited. Let's go.
Yeah. So I mean, my first cold call wasn't as long ago as yours was, but I remember it so well in the sense that I had the number there, and we've done a few videos on this before. I had the number there, and I just couldn't press ring. Like the green circle was there, I just physically couldn't press it because
Going
I
through
was
your mind.
getting. I don't know, mate. My heart rate was going. I was like sweating. I was like pacing around my room. I just couldn't do it because I was so scared. And I know this is the exact same feeling everyone else has. And it's just, I don't know. I don't know whether it's the fear of kind of fronting up the business, because up to that point, if you've just done DMs and you've just done emails, you kind of just hide behind your screen and you're protected. If that someone sends you a message back, you can kind of give yourself 10 minutes. But with a cold call, you're just, which is why it works so well, is you're just there in the moment, one-on-one with them. And I think it's just that daunting feeling of they could just tell me to fuck off. But as I got told to fuck off more than once, it didn't bother me. But
Water off the deck's back at that point.
yeah. And I remember the first one I did, and the first one someone answered, I was very rushed. Like he wanted to get off the phone so quickly because he could obviously tell that I was rushing it. I was trying to get, yeah, exactly. I was rushing through it, and then when he hung up, I was like, and then I thought, I've got to do another one now. And then as soon as I got the first one out of the way, everyone made it get easier and easier. And on my sixth one, if you've not heard this story, I signed a £15,000 a month. £1,500 a month client, a dentist in Manchester. So yeah, like it pays off, but you just have to get over it.
You just got to get over that fear factor. It's the same with anything in life, that you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to make it a comfortable situation.
Yeah.
And like, going back to just prepping for a cold call really quick, if you are going to cold call, you do need to put things down. So you have to have your phone because you're ringing from the phone, but don't check your messages. Don't get on Instagram, on TikTok, and spend, you really want to get in what's called frame. And frame is where your mind and the actions you want to take are linked, and you're kind of unflappable, and the world's working around you, but you're set on a mission. Get your head in the game. If you are going to cold call, you want to be calling from 10 o'clock in the morning till 12, just a 2-hour window. Okay. And then from 12 till 2, it's kind of a no-go because people go on lunch, receptionists go on lunch. It's just not a great time to cold call. Pick it back up from 3 till 5. So there's 4 hours a day, or from 2 till 5, depending on how much you want to do. They're better windows. Now, before you cold call, you can't be fucking around thinking about who you need to call. Have a list of people you want to call and phone numbers. Have a list in front of you. It can be a book that you've done manually and handwritten. It can be a spreadsheet. You can have Pipedrive software, which is something which we use. Go on there, tick once they've been called, make a note what the outcome was. If they need calling back, get it organized, call them back. But you want everything in a go position. You don't want to be scrambling around for people to call, doing research. You can do a quick bit of research, as in, like, if you see a business on your piece of paper, quickly hop online, just have a look at their website, just get a feel for what they do. Don't procrastinate. Don't overthink it. Pick up the phone, go for it, and you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. You really will.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a perfect way to end it, mate. Very positive note.
There we go.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. If you've not watched our previous video, it was on how to make sure that your clients pay you on time. If they aren't paying you on time, what you can do to make sure that they do moving forward. Super useful video, especially if you're struggling with that. But even if you aren't struggling with it, it's super useful to know when you do get clients. So yeah, give it a watch, and we'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m.